Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Essence Janay, and in today's video we are getting this face, or creating this face if you will. I'm going to be going start to finish with you guys, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of my favorite affordable drugstore products, but these aren't just any favorite products. These are products that I would purchase over and over again because not only are they affordable, but they're very much worth the coin, and I feel like the look speaks for itself. So if you guys want the details, want to know what I've been loving lately, and just want the specifics and want to dive in deep, then you already know what to do. Definitely keep on watching. Of course, subscribe before we start this video, but if you are on the edge and you're unsure, watch it all the way through, but I'm pretty sure by the end of it you're gonna love it just as much as I do. So to consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you can be notified every single time I upload. And of course, before we jump into today's video, make sure you grab your makeup brushes, snack, matcha tea, water, whatever is your preference, and let's get into it. Guys, so we are going to be starting with our base today, and I'm going to jump right into using primer. Now for today's video, I am only using one primer and one primer only because it is the one that I found stood out most in my collection outside of e.l.f. products. You guys know I'm obsessed with the Jelly Pop Dew Primer. Wow, I could not get the name for a second, but that's the one. I used it in my previous video. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. Full face of e.l.f. products, which I love. There's so many great products from them, but I really tried not to select any of those products for today's video. Not because I don't like them and I wouldn't repurchase them, but because I've kind of already used those products in a video recently. So I wanted to switch things up and bring you guys more favorites of mine. So we're going to start with this one. This is new for me. Not new in the sense of this isn't my first time using this. Of course, I have used it on my channel before. This is the Milani Supercharged Dew Primer. I've been very much into like a nice dewy primer. For me, I just feel like it gives my skin the right type of hydration that it really needs. Instead of going in with like all matte products, I know as someone who struggles with acne personally, I always felt that I couldn't use anything like this on my skin, especially with oily skin, but that's not true. It's really not. You definitely can enjoy the luxury of using a dewy, more glowy product and, it not produce so much oil on your skin throughout the day. Just as long as you're setting it the way that you need to, all should work out and be well. So I'd just like to apply this, of course, all over my skin for that nice, fresh, dewy glow feeling. And it's just been working for me, and it's really something I really like. Of course, you have your high-end options, but this is all about drugstore. And any drugstore product that's affordable and does what high-end products do for you, I'm here for it. It also feels very much like skincare, which is also a plus in my book, and I really love that. So now let's talk a little bit about foundation. There are quite a couple of different options when it comes to foundation for me personally, but I did want to use this one from Morphe today because this blew me away. This is definitely a dupe, in my opinion, for the NARS Soft Matte Foundation that came out, and I've used both. I have both, and I enjoy both. But for drugstore, this is definitely one of the foundations that have stood out to me. You guys know I'm obsessed, of course, with the Colourpop one. That one is like a go-to staple for me, but this one right here just holds a special place in my heart, especially for the look that I'm kind of going for today, which is very soft, semi-matte, even though we used a glowy primer on top of it, but still very beautiful and lightweight on the skin. Now this isn't necessarily a your skin but better product, but I will say it's definitely one that's very soft and lightweight on the skin to where like it looks semi-natural, but it can get obviously a little bit more natural than this when it comes to complexion products, but I feel like it's in that category. It's like right there, if that makes sense. But it's very soft. It looks great. It has evened everything out, and just a little bit of product definitely goes a long way with this. Now they do have a brush for this foundation, or that came out with it, that I love to use, and I use it every chance I can get. Unfortunately, it was dirty, so I didn't use it today, but if you can get your hands on that brush, I think it's the E69, something like that. I'll have it in the description down below. But that brush is perfection, okay? It works well with this product as well as all other foundations that I've used with it thus far. And it also helps with the application of the product. But by no means do you need the brush, because as you guys can see, with just a sponge alone, it did a very, very good job. So let's talk about concealers. So truth be told, there really is only one drugstore concealer that I can say I would buy over and over again at this point, and that has to be this one from e.l.f. This again is their camo concealer. This is the original formula and it's in tan sand, but I did pull out the Covergirl Golden Natural is the shade of this one. It's a little bit lighter, and personally I think this one would probably be a better match for like the look that I want, because I want a little brightness underneath my eyes. But the e.l.f. holds the key to my heart. I love that concealer. It's definitely one that I pick up and take out to use constantly without even thinking twice about it. But because I have used a lot of e.l.f. products, well, all e.l.f. products in my previous video, I want to switch things up for you guys and use different products. Even though we're talking about products that I'll use and buy over and over again, this one isn't one that I necessarily hate. I just don't pull out for it that often, but I am going to use it today. So I'm just going to pop this in my usual areas. I'm going to use a little bit of this just because it is quite brightening. You know, as you guys can see, we will have that definition within our face, which is great. You know, that's what we want. But it's definitely not a concealer I pull out very, very often. I have to be honest in saying that, because I don't want to just pull out the product and use it and have you guys with the expectation that this is one I use quite frequently, when in fact it's not. Again, it's not a bad concealer, it's just it's not what I use very, very often. So I'm only going to let that sit there for a little bit, and then I'm going to start blending it out. So of course, to blend out the concealer, I am going to use my sponge as I normally would. And this is definitely one that dries pretty quickly, which I low-key, high-key forgot about. But we're going to blend it out anyways. And if I have any trouble, which I'm starting to just a tad bit with blending it out, I can just always go in with my little brush. The brush I like to use for concealer is from e.l.f. It's their concealer brush. And I just like to take that over top of the areas where the concealer is and just really help blur and buff it into the skin. If ever you have a tough time blending out concealer because you left it on too long or whatever the case is, definitely go in with a small brush to help you better blend. As you guys can see, it blended out just fine. You know, I did have to put a little bit more arm work in it, but at the end of the day, it's nice and blended and it looks flawless. So that's what we want. That's my bad. That's on me because, you know, I'm the one who let it sit for too long. When it comes to mattifying concealers, you kind of want to work quickly with those because those will definitely dry down quicker than, say, a more hydrating concealer. So that's just something to keep in mind when, you know, applying your products and knowing when to blend and when not to blend. So now let's move into cream contour. So for that, I do have yet another concealer, and I've been loving this Milani Conceal and Perfect concealer for this. The coverage is nice, but I like it obviously for contour, and the color is just beautiful. I finally figured out a way of working with this product. Before I would just like dot it all around my face, and not that it turned out terribly for me, because it didn't, but I think the more effective thing for me to do personally is just apply a little bit of the product on the back of my hand and then use my brush and just go from the brush on the back of my hand to my face. For me, that just gives it a nice, a much nicer seamless blend, if you will. So for this step, I am using my Sephora. This is their number 47 Pro Foundation brush. And this is like one of my favorite brushes when they're shaped this way, no matter how big or small. to use for this. I do have an e.l.f. one as well. I forget the number on that one, but I'll also have that listed below as well. But that brush also works really well for this step, and I'm just brushing this back towards my hairline. This just lets you get a lot more precise with your application when it comes to the cream contour, and you just have more control over it this way, and I prefer more control over just slapping something on my face and hoping that it'll work. You know, you always want to be careful where you're placing products, and you want to be able to have that flexibility to put it where you want it and how much of the product you actually want. And I feel like this method definitely helps with that a lot, and it just makes the process that much more easier. So before we begin with our shadow, of course we need to set down our face. Now there are two powders that I would say I would repurchase over and over again from the drugstore. We're only going to use one, of course, out of the two loose powders. There are many other ones out there that I really want to try and get my hands on, like the Hailey's Beauty loose powder, for instance. I have yet to come across that in my Target, and I might just have to just go ahead and purchase it online. But for today's video, and as far as the products that I have in my collection, I'm going to be using this one from Maybelline. This is their Fit Me loose powder in light medium, and I love this stuff. It definitely gives me that bright under eye. It's very smooth, and it just looks flawless underneath. So that's what we're going to use for our under eye and T-zone today. So I just like to dip my brush, or not brush, my sponge in the product, and then I just go right underneath the eye with it. This is such a nice powder. It's not quite translucent. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of the Laura Mercier translucent honey powder. That's what this one reminds me a lot of when it comes to like comparing it to something more high-end. That's what I would say this powder is most like, and it just looks really nice and flawless. But of course, at a cheaper price point, you spend less coin and you get just as good of quality. Now when it comes to pressed powder, I wouldn't say there is an absolute favorite from the drugstore themselves. There is a favorite that is more affordable but still technically high-end. Hint hint, the Sephora Micro Smooth powder. But this one from number 7 I have been loving, I do have to say. Even though I haven't used it as intensely and as much as any of the other ones, this one is still pretty good and very affordable, and it does pretty much the same thing as the other ones that I use. So I am going to use this one for today's video because I really didn't want to pull out anything that was not drugstore. So we're going to go ahead and use this with this large fluffy brush, and I'm just going to press this into the skin and just kind of buff it in, just to kind of help set everything completely and just give everything a nice, smooth, and flawless finish all around the face. Now, of course, no one loves looking like a powdered donut, so we do have to set things down and in place and also help with that longevity of the makeup look overall. So I'm going to go in with the Colourpop Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. This is like my 3rd or 4th bottle of this stuff. This is like cracking a bottle, if you will. I love this stuff, and I swear by it. So, you guys know I had to pull it out for today's video, and I'm just going to let that sink into the skin. So let's go ahead and talk eyeshadow. Now, truth be told, I have not come across a specific palette that I would repurchase over and over again. Like, that's just me being 100% transparent with you guys and being honest. But I feel like tones, shades, and colors are more so what I repeatedly buy over and over again, and it kind of gets a little oversaturated within my collection. And that's like those neutral, more natural brown, taupey colors. I live for those type of shades, and like golds when it comes to shimmer, like that's more my speed and that's my comfort zone, and I buy those over and over again. So for today's look, although I'm not 100% certain on where this look will take us, I did pull out this palette from Morphe since I haven't used it in quite some time, to be honest. The shades in this palette are just so beautiful. You guys see this? I feel like this can be very fall. You could also use this for spring and maybe even get away with it in the summer. But we are going to be creating a look with this today. Now I do want to do a little pop of color, if you will, just because I do have this vibrant top on, and you know, I want to bring it to life and kind of incorporate the colors in my makeup look. So I pulled out this palette from Eloise. This is the Queen palette, and in here you have some beautiful shades. I have used this before on my channel. I did a look using this palette. The shadows in here are creamy, pigmented, smooth, and they blend really nicely together. So what I'm thinking is to do like a pop of color on the lower lash line and something a little bit more everyday wearable, if you will, on the top of the lids. Yeah, so we'll see where this look takes us. I'm really not sure, but we'll get through it. So of course I'm going to start with the Morphe palette, and I think I'm just going to take this shadow here as well as this one over here, and I'm going to start buffing those in my crease. Still nice and soft, but a little definition at the same time has been created in our crease, and that's as much as I want to use with that shadow. Now I'm going to take this brown shade right here in this palette, and unfortunately this does not have the shade names in the back or on the palette. It was like on this clear film thing that I couldn't keep up with it, so sorry, I cannot tell you guys the shade names, but I can point it out to you. So I'm just going to tap this on the outer corner and just start building up color and shadow out here. So it's a mixture between tapping motions and buffing motions. And I just really want to build up the pigment. As you guys can see, the shadow is quite warm in color, which we want because we are going to be using color. And since the color in the palette that I'm going to be using from Eloise is like so bright, I think it's better that we use warmer tones and shadows at the top of like these neutral tone shades just to complement the lower part of the lash line. So I always feel that it helps to add a little depth, you know, within looks. So I am going to take an even deeper brown. This kind of pulls a little reddish brown to me, so I'm going to grab this shade and I'm going to take that on a small brush, and I'm just going to start buffing that on the outer corner as well. I'm not going to make it as intense as the outer shade that we already placed there, but I do want a little dimension within the look on the upper lid. So for the fear of the fact that it's looking a little orange, which isn't too bad because we do have a little orange in our shirt, I still want to use a little bit darker of a shadow. So I'm going to take this brown one right here, and I'm just going to use that same small bullet brush that I was using before for the previous shadow, and I'm just going to work that in the same manner I did the previous. So I'm just taking this shadow back and forth, windshield wiper motions on this outer corner of the eye, keeping it really close to the lower part of the lash line and not going up too high with it. Now as far as the lower lash line, I want to start off with the same shadow that we used, you know, for the crease to create that definition. Just taking a little bit of that and just running that on my lower lash line just to start, just to have some type of shadow from the top on the bottom. Not that you're going to see this very much unless you chose to go in with a brush that was a little bit more dense than this and that applied the product in a more opaque manner, if you will. But just to, I don't know, even the playing field, so to speak, I am going to put a little bit of this down here. Now I'm going to take the Eloise palette and I'm going to use Empress, which is the darker pink of the two pinks in this palette. And I'm going to take that on this flat, pinched, fluffy brush. Wow, that's probably not how you describe that, but this is the Morphe M433. And I want something with a little fluff to it, not too much, just a little bit. That way I can blow out the color and not put it on so intensely. I want it to show, I want it to pop, of course, but I want to take my time with like building it up underneath my eyes. So for this, I am grabbing my mirror, I'm gonna look up, and I'm gonna slowly apply this color on my lower lash line. So we have the pop of pink, it looks really good, but there is one other thing that we can do to really just bring this look full circle and just make it hit hard. So for liner, instead of using like a white or an off-white or a black for that matter, why not use one that's the same color? So since I have this pink liner in my collection, which I do like a lot, I love the yellow one I have even more than this one, but this still gives that extra like element to the look and helps enhance the pink on the lower lash line. So I'm just gonna use this one. This is from NYX. This is their Epic Wear Liner, and this is in the shade Pink Spirit. Oh, you guys, I really feel like that pink liner really set everything off just right, and it just looks really good. That pink liner definitely tied it in even more because it just really brings out the pink underneath the eye, and I just love that. So I'm going to go ahead and coat my lashes really quick with a coat of mascara, pop on some lashes, and then we can finish off with the rest of this face. But so far, so good. You guys see how it looks like just with mascara alone? And that's not even on my bottom lashes. That's just the top lashes. Like who needs false lashes anymore? Truth be told, like who needs them? But I am going to apply them anyways. I just really wanted you guys to see what the look kind of looks like and the vibe it's getting and giving without any falsies. You don't need it, girl. You don't need it. Now for false lashes, I am going to apply these ones from Eyelure, which are affordable. You can find these at Ulta. This is in collaboration with Jordyn Woods, and these are in Tropic Like It's Hot. These are their faux mink lashes, and I think these will be perfect for today's look. Not too much, not too little, just the right mixture of what exactly, essence of what. So our lashes are now on and everything looks really, really good, but of course we got to finish up this face. So let's go ahead and add some bronzer, add some color back into the skin, and give our face a little bit more definition by chiseling it with a little bit of contour. Now I did use that cream contour before, but I always love to use like a powder contour, if you will. And for today's palette, I'm using this one from Ace Beauty. I love the fact that it has multiple shades in this palette, and this is definitely something I would buy over and over again because it really has that quality, has that pigmentation, but it also has that diversity within the palette itself, which is nice. So we're going to use this, and I'm going to start by bronzing my skin, of course, and I'm going to take a mixture of these two, and I'm going to start buffing that around the perimeter of my face, but I'm going to start up here. And to try my best not to give myself a bronzer helmet, I'm going to just start light, you know? You can always add, but you cannot take away. So you want to use a light hand when doing this, or using any product really, and just really work that product into the skin. I feel like between this palette and the Physicians Formula palette, they're my favorite too when it comes to Drugstore. And again, they have a lot to offer. I really love a product or a palette that can offer you different alternatives and you don't just have one specific product to work with. I really like a palette that has a lot of options because you can switch it up and, you know, just do what you want. It gives you more creative freedom, so to speak. So like something like this, you know, allows me not only to bronze up my skin all nice and bronzy and just really give it that nice bronze glow that I like, but it also allows me to create that contour, which we will do in a second once I finish with this. But again, I don't want to go overboard, and I just like taking my brush and just running it on the side of my nose just to kind of chisel that out a little bit. Nothing specific or too precise, but it just gives a little bit of color to the nose to where it looks like it's snatched somewhat, but it doesn't look overly snatched. So to chisel out the cheekbones, I'm going to use this darker one out of the two that we originally used. So we used both of these to bronze up the skin, but I'm going to intensify with this one right here. And I'm going to take that on my little dome brush. This brush does not have a name, but any brush like this will work. And I just like to take this right along here, just to kind of chisel this part out, create a little bit of shadow, and just flick outwards on the sides of my face, right out here. Now for blush, I am going to be using an e.l.f. blush, and I know I said at the beginning of this video I really didn't want to use products that I used in that last video where I did the full face of e.l.f. just because it's so recent, but you like what you like, and truly they have some amazing products, and this product for me is one that I could not pass on because it is my ultimate favorite out of all the products that they have launched thus far. I'm just so obsessed with their cream blushes that I had no choice but to pull it out for today's video, and I don't think I used this specific shade in that video anyways. So this one is Bora, which is their pink blush, and of course we have the pop of pink on the under eye area, but we also want to apply a little bit of pink for our blush, and what better blush to do so than this one. So I'm using their Putty blush brush to do this, so I'm just going to swirl my brush in the product. I am going to tap it on the back of my hand to start, and then I'm just going to start applying it to my cheek area and just press it into the skin. It's very light in color. It's not as intense as it looks in this packaging, but these blushes are very, very buildable, and you can just apply as much as you want to get the opacity that you want, or you can just apply a little bit if you wanted something a little bit more natural. You know, it's all up to you, but I definitely wanted to use this in today's video just because, like I said, it's my #1 favorite from e.l.f. and I felt like it was a must. One thing about blush right now, especially for spring and summer, is that you can carry it all the way across. So I do like to do that, is just take it all the way across, from temple to temple basically. So you get like that sunburnt, sun-kissed look, and who doesn't love that? I mean, I personally do. I love a nice sunburnt look with makeup, of course. Nobody likes being burnt by the sun on their face or any other body part for that matter. We don't want to deal with that peeling of the skin and all that nastiness that comes with it, but you can definitely recreate that with makeup, which is beautiful. So now that I have my blush applied, I can go ahead and jump into highlighter. Now for today's highlight, I am using this one from Revlon. This is their Skin Lights highlighter, and the shade is Daybreak Glimmer, which is 201, and this one is super gleaming, beautiful, bright, and it just looks really good. This highlighter by itself really blew me away. There's very few Revlon products that capture my attention. I've tried, I want to say maybe like a handful of products from Revlon in the past here on my channel, but this one is one that I feel like has stood out and really gives you that glow that you're looking for, especially if you're a highlighter freak like me and really into a nice, beautiful, gleaming, glowing highlight. This is definitely the highlight that I feel would best suit you and something you would definitely enjoy like I do. Like just look at that by itself. That is impressive. So I really hope I was filming these last couple of steps. If not, I will of course leave all the products down below. The problem with taking like breaks in between filming sometimes is that you forget to hit record. But nonetheless, we are going to finish off this look with lips. So as everyone should know by now, my channel is not the channel for these fascinating lip combinations and lip pencils and lipsticks and things of like that. I'm more simple and to the point, and I love me a clear gloss. So if there's one lip product that I will buy over and over and over, it's definitely a clear gloss. So for today, since we are talking all about affordable and drugstore products, my number one favorite go-to clear gloss from the drugstore is by the brand Essence, and this is their Shine 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 clear lip gloss, which mine is definitely not so clear anymore because I've used it over and over, and I definitely need to repurchase this one ASAP because I'm almost out. But we're gonna pop a little bit of this on because I love me a clear gloss, and that'll be it for this look. Alright beauties, so this is everything finished and complete. Let me know what you guys think down below. But I'm really excited for this video and for you guys to see the content and just the makeup look, because I feel like everything came out so much better than I could have ever imagined, and I'm just really excited that I got to sit down and showcase these products with you guys in a different way versus me just sitting down and talking one by one about all my favorites. You know, why not show you guys what they can do? Show it in action. And I feel like these products speak for themselves. Everything worked really nice, really well. We've got this nice, beautiful look going on. We have that nice pop of color that, you know, I envisioned in my head, but again, so much better than I could ever imagine. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. I really love using affordable products with you guys. It's really the key to my heart. And secret, but not so much a secret anymore, is that honestly, I don't think I could have sat down and did a full face of favorites using only high-end products, because truth be told, I don't even think I own a full face of high-end products that I love from start to finish like I do drugstore. So that says a lot within itself. But again, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's content. Down below in the comments, let me know what your favorite product was from today's video. For me personally, I mean, I'm loving the pop of color, don't get me wrong, but my favorite product for today's video has to be the cream blush. That is my number one. If you don't get anything else from this video, actually scratch that. I take that back. I love the setting spray. You guys know how obsessed I am with this Colourpop setting spray, that like if you don't get anything else, get this, then get the cream blush second. But that is like a staple, a go-to for me. I use it all the time, every single video. I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of it, but I can't get enough of it. So let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed today's content, definitely give it a thumbs up. You already know what to do. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more bell notifications so you can be notified every single time I upload. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Instagram is more day-to-day content as to where over here it's 1 to 2 times a week, but I'll keep pushing out the content either way. I love you guys so much. I'm gonna end today's video here, and I will catch you all in my next upload.